play and call it work.
Hello there, everyone, and welcome, finally, to the War of the Spider review. A little late, but we're all back at the offices now, and we're all able to work together now nicely.
There's a pandemic. We're doing what we can.
We're doing what we can. So we're here to talk to you about the new Death Guard from War of the Spider, and there is a significant amount to talk about now. To be fair, War of the Spider, obviously it has Fabius Bile on the cover of it, and I won't lie, the creations of Bile do seem pretty big, but there's something about the Death Guard that I feel like they got more. But they didn't have a whole lot to begin with. And like, there's 2 points I want to cover there. I liked my Death Guard when we didn't have a whole lot of options. We had like 2 good stratagems.
Out of like,
of the 9. We have
there was 9
We had
total?
we had like 9. I can't remember. Oh, you know what? I got it right here. We had about 9 stratagems. I'm not too concerned, but I'm curious now to see the exact number. I'm already off track here a little bit. Look at that. Okay, no, we had more than 9. So there's like 10. There was like more than 10. There was like 12. That's it. This is those 2 pages. We had 2 pages of stratagems. Only a few of them were good. Now we have an extra 30-something stratagems in War of the Spider. We're going to cover this section by section of all the new Death Guard stuff. And what I was opening up with was, it's got Fabius Bile on the cover, but I feel like the Death Guard got more, is pretty much
Okay, so you feel like they got more into this?
Yeah, whereas they're not really like the War of the Spider, the Death Guard. It's just kind of like, here's a bunch of random Death Guard rules. And you know what? A lot of them are really good. And it forced me to go out of my comfort zone at first. I was a grumpy boy at first. I was like, I like my Death Guard the way I like my Death Guard. I don't want anything new. And I'm like, all this stuff is bad. And I started reading it more. I'm like, oh, all this stuff is good. It's just, so I'm going to go over some of that with you now of what I think changed for the better. And all around what you can do with Death Guard, maybe.
So my role in all of this is to try to provide, I guess, maybe questions for the newer type folks, like some clarifying points for you.
Yes.
And to hold the book.
And to hold the book, sure. Yeah,
Yep. That's you know what, that's
you're
important.
my yes man.
Yes, I am. Why, yes, I am. So jumping right into here, starting off with the Fecund Legion. I don't know why I said Legion there.
So I want to point out that as I'm a fool so Josh and I recorded a game in the MiniWarGaming vault of Custodians versus Death Guard using the new War of the Spider rules. So if you want to check that out, that's down below. You can click the link, get yourself a 7-day free trial. If you want to check out new content, or if you just want to check out a bunch of other 40k content, we got a lot of it in there. But I'm a fool and I keep calling the new plague companies the new Fecund Legions, and I don't know why, because I probably read it there on the title, and it's just like big bold letters, the Fecund Legion. And I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Fecund because of like fecundity, and it just sounds like a weird word. I don't like saying it. You ever get
or is it fecundity?
No, it's not.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. It's just, you ever feel uncomfortable saying certain words? Well, bam, there you go. That's a weird one. And we're not gonna drop it there.
I've never felt dumber than like when I go to like read stuff out loud. I'm like, I know the word, I just don't know how to say it.
It's
embarrassing.
It is embarrassing. So generally for the Death Guard, all their FAQ and errata things they've gotten over the years since Chapter Approved and Hateful Assault and Malicious Volleys and all that, it's all been crumped together in this new book. So you have all of your new rules here in one location, other than having to go to FAQs and erratas to see if you got all that stuff.
Right, so the 2 things that they list here are Hateful Assault, not new at all, and the Malicious Volleys, which is not new at all either.
And then they have a little section that covers what exactly a bolt weapon is and what exactly a plague weapon is. That was pretty much, for the most part, pretty obvious, but again, we got to consider newer players. If they're going to buy this book, that is good information. And that's good information to have there.
Bingo bango. It's right there. Next page, we're going to get into the Relics of Decay. So we've got a grand total of what? It looks like 6 new relics.
Right, so these are 6 new relics that you can take on certain characters mostly. So idea with the Psychic Awakening books, first and foremost, is to breathe life into things that were bad before. Like they say Games Workshop, Death Guard came out at the beginning of 8th edition, right? So their design mentality back then was obviously very different from now, and a lot of the stuff was bad. Yeah, like Plague Surgeons were bad, the Noxious Blightbringers were bad, and a couple of other things. Now, we have 6 new relics here that you can have access to, and I'll be honest, much like any other circumstance, only a couple of them really stand out, and the other ones are sure like, if you want to use them, sure, why not? And there's definitely a lot of builds you could go with these 2. Now, first one I want to talk about is the Demon's Toll, which is the Noxious Blightbringer one. It gives, I believe it's infantry within 7.
Well, let me tell you. Yeah. So, Noxious Blightbringer only. Models in friendly Death Guard units, excluding Chaos Cultists and Poxwalker units, have a 5-up invulnerable save, whilst their unit is within 7 inches of a model from your army with this relic.
I want to double take on this one, or specifically focus on this one because I'm a fool, and I read it without reading the little extra part in the parentheses there about the cultists and the poxwalkers.
Did you film a game? And
I did not.
Oh, okay.
I did not. But I was making a list. So one of my favorite lists as Death Guard is the poxwalker, cultist, massive zombie horde. Super fun, incredibly thematic. I highly recommend anyone play that if they have access to the models, or at least anything that can stand in as models. And I have more information on that in other Death Guard videos. I don't want to bog this down with that. But I read that, and I'm like, 5-up invulnerable save for any infantry within 7? Yes, please. Poxwalker list is now probably overpowered. I can't believe they printed this. And then I read it again, and I'm like, oh wait, it actually doesn't work for poxwalkers. So I kind of like, you should always do a double take on everything you read. I read the book, started thinking about a list. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna double check the book now, go through everything again, and like, okay, well, this list out the window, it's gone. I still love the list, but literally nothing new kind of comes in the book. Now there is a couple of examples, and I'll note those later on when we get there.
But it's not this relic.
It's not this relic, and this relic is, I can't think of why I would ever want to use that. The only thing it's good on is Plague Marines, because everything else typically already has an invulnerable save, other than a select few of the support characters that don't have invulnerable saves. But you can bring Mephitic Blighthaulers to give your Plague Marines a 2-up armor save, and after all AP is said and done, you're typically going to have a 5-up or a 4-up save anyway, so you don't really need this relic. And you know what? I think only my real favorite relic. Why don't you go ahead and go over them?
Okay, so we'll go over the relics.
Yeah.
So we're going to start at the top here. Again, this is going to be Josh pronouncing things not correct in any way. The Ague Stone?
The Ague Stone, maybe.
Ague Stone?
I don't know how that's pronounced. I would assume the Ague Stone.
The Stone.
Right.
Lord of Contagion model only.
Yeah.
Subtract 1 from the strength characteristic of enemy models whilst their unit is within 3 inches of a model from your army with this relic.
Yes. So that is a good relic. The only downsides are Lord of Contagions only move 4 inches a turn. And when they advance, they only advance half of what the die shows.
Oof.
Yes, so they are very slow. They can enter from reserves like a Terminator. They are a Terminator. This is another example of them trying to breathe life into something that no one plays with. And if you do play with it, it's probably because you don't have too many other HQ options. Lord of Contagion is tough. He's a tough boy, and he hits hard, but he is slow. And these games are mostly won with mobility and durability in the form of the Death Guard, but at least you can still bring fast Death Guard stuff. This guy is not fast in any way, shape, or form. But there is another thing we'll touch up on when we get to the stratagems that I want to laugh at when it comes to Lord of Contagion, because he doesn't even reroll once. Like he's a Lord character whose only aura is the Gift of Nurgle, I believe, where at the beginning of your turn, all of your Death Guard stuff nearby him have a chance to do a mortal wound to things they're in combat with on a 4 or more. And that's it. That is all he does. He's kind of whatever.
It doesn't sound very exciting.
No, it's not very exciting.
Okay, next up we got the All Wither. So this is models equipped with a Bale Sword only. And you get a new profile. Right. So your range melee, obviously, type melee, +1 strength, -3 AP, 2 damage, and Plague Weapon.
Yep. So this is, it has a different...
Oh yeah, never mind.
Right.
Plague Weapon, see Death Guard, and then there's another one after this. When resolving an attack made with this weapon, an invulnerable saving throw cannot be made.
Yes. So this is also a very good relic. I am a huge fan of this one because it's a character killer. No invulnerable saves. It's AP. So a Bale Sword is it's a power sword that lets you reroll. Well, it's Plague Weapon now. I'm pretty sure it lets you reroll all wound rolls before, but now it's just Plague Weapon, so just reroll wound rolls of 1. But it is strength +1, so typically strength 5, -3, so any 3-up save becomes a 6-up save, or any 2-up becomes a 5-up, and no invulnerable save. That is a good, and 2 damage to swing too. Now you gotta remember your Death Guard. You have a lot of access to things like Veterans of the Long War, or Psychic Powers like Blades of Putrefaction for multiple stacking benefits and bonuses to wounds. So the strength +1 is good, but you can get to wound on 2s with that. That is a good relic. Now, it doesn't really, there's better relics you can take, but that is a good relic. It's just a close combat character relic, and if you really want that, you have access to that, and there you go, right?
All right.
It's something.
Next up, we got the Epidemicist Blade. So model equipped with a Hellforged sword only.
Yeah.
How would you say that? You chuckled. You chuckled my way.
No, because it's a silly word. It's like epidemic, but it has cyst at the end of it. So it's epidemicist, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's weird. It's just a silly word.
So this is obviously melee weapon, +1 strength, -2 AP, 3 damage, Plague Weapon. When resolving an attack made with this weapon, an unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit.
And it's a Hellforged sword only?
Yes.
So it's a Demon Prince. It's a Demon Prince swap-out weapon. It's not bad, and it's Is it flat 2? It's flat
3 damage.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure the sword, the Hellforged sword, typically is just D3 damage, so that alone is a nice swap, because the axe is flat 3 damage, but it's -1 to hit with, whereas the sword hits on 2s still, so you still get your Death to the False Emperor ability, and it's D3, but now this is flat 3. That is, if you have a Demon Prince with a sword, that's an awesome choice, because there's new stratagems that make fighting with a sword against infantry even better. So it kind of, the obvious choice for Demon Princes now is double hands, right? The Malefic Talons. They're trying to make it so the other options are viable, but you have to spend command points to do it and take relics to do it. So not a huge fan of that, because the separating plate still exists. And I'll be honest, guys, in a lot of cases, I still think the separating plate, which is the old school Death Guard relic, is still one of the ones you want to go for typically. But that could also just be me being biased, because it's one of my favorite relics in the game. Typically against, I've had some great stories with it, is what I'm trying to say. It's an amazing relic. Anyways, we may continue. We may proceed.
Okay, so we got next up the Putrid Periapt. Periapt?
It's a necklace, I think.
It's like a gem jewel kind of thing. Yeah. An amulet, if you will.
I like this one too.
So, Psyker model only. A model with this relic knows 1 additional psychic power.
Yep.
Once in each of your psychic phases, after a psychic power is resolved that was manifested by a model with this relic, that model can regain up to D3 lost wounds.
Yep. So this is, I can think of 2 things this is good on. I think it's the only 2 things it would be good on. Obviously a Demon Prince, because you can heal your Demon Prince, and it does make your Demon Prince kind of the same level as a 1,000 Sun Demon Prince, right? So you can do your Miasma, you can do your Smite, or you can do your Blades of Putrefaction on yourself. It is a great relic, being able to cast an additional psychic power. Now, what my mind immediately goes to, which could be a little bit better, maybe, would be the Malignant Plaguecaster. They have a rule called Pestilential Fallout. Every time they successfully cast a psychic power with an unmodified roll of 7 or more, they get to do a mortal wound to the nearest enemy within a certain range. So that just gives them access to an additional Pestilential Fallout trigger. And those are the only 2 things I can immediately think of that works with. But I think I actually like the Demon Prince a little bit more, but those are 2 great options. The great relic. These are all good relics in their own way, except for whatever. They're all good in their own way. Except for the stone? Except for the Demon's Toll.
Demon's Toll?
Yeah, I don't really see how that's going to be super useful unless I'm completely missing something obvious, and I apologize.
I mean, it is just Death Guard units. I guess other non-infantry that don't have...
It's not infantry, right? So yeah,
it's just units.
If you typically like to play Death Guard with Predators and with like Land Raiders and things that don't have an invulnerable save, then vehicle-heavy lists that aren't demon engines, because typically a lot of people play vehicle, which are demon engines now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of like how much there would actually be that's popular.
It would have to be like Rhinos and Predators and Land Raiders.
Right. Spartans.
And Spartans all tanks, that's true. Which was my initial kind of build with my Death Guard, by the way. When I built my Death Guard, the idea was, it was a 2,500 point list though, and things kept changing up, and then we adjusted down 1,500 points, that list was thrown out the window. It was gonna be 25, it was gonna be Plague Marines and characters and a Spartan, and that was my list.
Yeah.
That was like my whole list.
But I guess he wouldn't be running alongside it anyways.
Exactly, yeah. Whoa. And I wouldn't be running alongside it either way.
Okay, so we got the Worm Spitter is the last one.
Yes.
So this replaces a bolt pistol.
Right.
So this is 15-inch range.
Mm-hmm. Not bad.
Fancy. Pistol 1. Strength 5, AP -2, 1 damage. Plague weapon. When resolving an attack made with this weapon, if a hit is scored, the target is corroded until the end of the turn. Mm-hmm. When resolving an attack made with a weapon by a friendly Death Guard model against a corroded unit, that weapon gains the Plague Weapon ability for that attack.
Yes, so that is very good. So that is the best relic out of all these, in my opinion. It doesn't look a lot immediate on paper, but you have to consider all the other things the Death Guard have access to. There's a Warlord trait in the Death Guard Codex called the Arch Contaminator, which says any unit within 7 inches of them get to reroll all failed wound rolls with plague weapons instead of 1. So you take this pistol and you can target out one thing, and then anything in your army every weapon in your army becomes a plague weapon against that target, which means anything near that warlord will get to reroll failed wound rolls. So you pick one target and your whole army gets to reroll wound rolls against it for a relic.
Okay, so yeah, that does sound fairly solid. So yeah, what character do you imagine putting that on? Like, who are you going to put that? Who's getting a new bolt pistol?
So I've actually already played a game. This is not the one in the vault, but I put it on. I always bring a Malignant Plaguecaster. So you're playing Death Guard, you're always going to have a Psyker. You're always going to have a Sorcerer. I like the Malignant Plaguecaster. He's a little bit more expensive than the Sorcerer, but he's got Disgusting Resilience and he has the Pestilential Fallout rule. So I typically bring him. He has a bolt pistol. Or if you have a Chaos Lord, he could have a bolt pistol, right? So I would typically put it on the Plaguecaster. He does hit on 3s though. That's the biggest issue. If you put it on Chaos Lord, he hits on 2s rolling once. So it makes it a little bit more reliable. But I played a list that was heavily reliant on, not heavily reliant, the theme of that was Arch Contaminator and as much plague weapons as I could. In fact, I ran 60 Plague Marines in that game. And you'll see that game coming out in the future. I played against Steve in a mechanized Orclist. So that was a great game, and it had a great showing of what you can do with War of the Spider. And that's it for the stratagems. Sorry,
Relics.
not stratagem, relics. That's it for the new relics. Now, again, all of that, I think Wormspitter is probably the best one, which is the one they showed off on Warhammer Community. So everyone already knows about that one. Because that's what I can immediately think of doing getting the most value out of. I typically like relics that hit your whole army instead of a relic that only buffs your one character.
Right, yeah.
Right. Now, there is something to be said about relics that buff your one character. Like, they're great, they're fine, and you can do a lot with them. But I typically prefer my playstyle to revolve around one relic affecting the entire army. Now, I also don't like that because say that character dies, then you lose that relic, and that kind of sucks too. So it depends on how you want to approach that.
Next up, we're going to jump into the stratagems. So compared to what, like 10 before or something like that?
No, we had a little bit more. We had 2 pages of stratagems. It was about like 12 or 14, it turns out.
But we are now going to add another 21.
Yeah, these are like
just generic. And this isn't for the different plague companies.
No. These are if you... Being Death Guard, you have access to these new stratagems. And I don't want to waste too much of your time going into great detail about them. I'll go into great detail about the big losers and the big winners.
Yeah, we're going to rapid fire this one. So it's going to be, is it a thumbs up, thumbs down?
Right, and this is kind of first impressions, right? So there could be more down to it. And again, I want to disclose that when I play Death Guard, I typically play them in one of 3 ways that I strongly prefer. But this book, the idea of this book is to try and take players like myself out of their comfort zones and try out new things. So there's maybe things I'm not considering here.
Some other options. So we're going to start off, Plague Chosen. So 1 command point, and you use this before the battle. You basically pick another character, and they get a warlord trait.
This is a winner. I think it gives you great flexibility in your list, and I suspect people will be using that one quite a bit. There's a lot of good warlord traits, especially when you consider the plague companies all have their own built-in warlord traits. So you can still take your favorite generic warlord trait from the Death Guard Codex, which might be like Revoltingly Resilient or Tainted Regeneration or Arch Contaminator, and then you could also take a warlord trait from the great companies later on. So I think that's a good one.
That's a winner?
Yeah.
Next up, we got Soul Harvest. So 1 command point, using the fight phase when a Death Guard Demon Prince model from your army, either with the Demonic Axe or Hellforged Sword, is chosen to fight with. Until the end of the phase, you add 3 to that model's attacks characteristic, but you can only target infantry.
No. I kind of don't like it, but it's good. It gives you options. If you only have a Demon Prince with that loadout and you like to play WYSIWYG, which is what you see is what you get, then that... You don't feel so bad anymore, but you have to spend a command point to do it. And maybe, just maybe, when it comes to the new edition coming out, when you have access to a lot more stratagems, maybe that won't seem as costly. It's all right. You know what? Maybe it's like more middle ground. It's more neutral. It's good because it gives you the options of your different loadouts, but I still prefer the double Talon.
Next up, we got the Harbinger of Nurgle. So this is Lord of Contagion only, and basically, he gets an ability that allows him to reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly Death Guard within 6 of them.
So, which is widely accepted as a thought that he should have always had that.
And now for 1 command point, he can.
Yep. So this is something you do at the beginning of the game when you kind of build your list. You're telling your opponent what you have. Like, I also spent a command point to make him a Harbinger of Nurgle. So now he's a Chaos Lord. Whatever, it's okay, sure, great. If you're stuck using Lord of Contagions, well, now they're more feasible.
You really bought the starter box, and that's what you get?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have Lord of Contagions and Plague Casters as your characters, so now they can actually reroll hit rolls of 1. Go buy a Demon Prince. Like, sorry, it's the truth though.
Next, we got 1 command point, Foul Gush. So this is for a Foul Blightspawn. So you already double thumbs up on this one. Until the end of the phase, when you roll to determine the number of attacks with the Plague Sprayer, roll an additional d6, discard 1 of the dice. In addition, until the end of the phase, when rolling to determine the strength, you do the same.
Yes, so the Foul Blightspawn, this is what I'm confused about, because the Foul Blightspawn was already an amazing choice for the Death Guard. In fact, most lists just ran 3 of them. I would highly recommend. They're a 77-point character, I believe. Number of Nurgle and all that. Yep. They have the very nasty Flamer. It's d6 automatic hit. It's 2d6 strength, -3, flat 3 damage a shot. And it's 9-inch range, and it's an assault weapon, so you can advance and shoot it. So it's one of Death Guard's best answers to flyers, ironically.
I hate that.
It's a flak flamer. Well, Death Guard stuff is corrosive. You just have to assume the flamer can go kilometers in the sky. Or the fuels. And you know what the worst part is? The model. the way it works, he's got this big contraption on his back that's got the fuel in it, but he's kind of like combining with the mechanism goes through his intestines, and it's like a crank system that goes through his intestines. So he's like harvesting the chemicals in his body that mix with the contraption on his back, and he gushes out this muculent broth combination of like his organs and whatever nasty chemicals are in his little container in the back.
Shoots it at a plane.
And you shoot that at a plane. Who knows how far? It doesn't look like it goes. It looks like a 5-foot fire hose, so I don't think it can go that far. I don't know. It depends. Maybe 40K technology. But anyways, it is an amazing strategy. It makes an already good character even better. And if you absolutely need him to perform, you use a command point on Foul Gush. Most of the time, they're pretty reliable though.
Yeah. So next up, we got the 1 command point virulent.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Again, there's so many words that I just can't, that I've heard, but I can't say.
1 out of 2 thumbs.
So this is affecting, using the shooting phase, it's going to be a Plague Marine unit. And until the end of the phase, bolt weapons get the following. Plague Weapon. And then also, when resolving an attack made with this weapon against an infantry unit on an unmodified wound roll of 6, your armor pens -4.
Yes. So I think this is an excellent stratagem, especially if you typically don't like to run cultists or poxwalkers, and you like to run Plague Marines as your compulsory true choices in battalions or brigades even. Then this is a stratagem you want to go to. This works especially well with the next stratagem we're going to talk about, because this makes it so your bolt guns. Now, granted, it only really effectively works against infantry, but this was the basis of why I wanted to do this massive list of 20 Plague. My list was a battalion of 2 HQs and 3 squads of 20 Plague Marines. Now, those 3 squads of 20 Plague Marines typically had 15 bolt guns in them, and then like 5 special weapons and melee weapons. So that's 30 shots. They have an elongated rapid fire range, and then they get to reroll wound rolls of 1 against whatever they're shooting at, because they're a plague weapon now. But if you have the Arch Contaminator nearby, they're rerolling all wound rolls. And if you so happen to be fighting infantry, then they don't get an armor save against their shots. So that is an excellent anti-Space Marine stratagem, and it's only 1 command point as well. Now, it does get costly when you pair that up with things like veterans if you really wanted to, though I wouldn't really recommend it because you want to consider command points for other things. It's only for that one situation, but Relentless Volleys is the next one that pairs really well with this.
So it's either 1 or 2 command points. Yeah. Using the shooting phase when a Death Guard infantry unit from your army is chosen to shoot with. Until the end of the phase, bolt guns and bolt gun profile of combi weapons that are rapid fire, basically they become rapid fire 2.
Right, so if you're familiar with the Guard, this is first rank fire, second rank fire. Whew. Yes.
In addition, until the end of the phase, combi bolter models in that unit are rapid fire 3.
Right, and so Death Guard get to rapid fire if they stand still, or they rapid fire within 18 inches instead of the normal 12. Now, let's consider this. Now
now it's either 1 or 2 command points. Right. If the unit is 6 or more models, it's 2 command points to do.
That's why I kind of skewed hard into it. And I went, well, whatever, let's do 20-man squads, Legion-sized squads of Plague Marines. Now, let me tell you guys, I had so much fun playing this list that I immediately wanted to play it again. So to put things into perspective, these 15 bolt guns, if they do stand still in rapid fire, or if they're in the inexorable advanced rapid fire range, that's going to be 60 shots. That is 60 bolt gun shots that get to reroll all wound rolls because of Arch Contaminator nearby. And if they're shooting at infantry, that is -4 AP. That is a 3 command point combo though. But you gotta remember, in the new edition, you're gonna be starting with 12 and you're gonna be getting 1 every turn. And if you have a tally man in your list, he'll have the 7-fold chant, which gives you even more command points back.
Right.
So it might seem expensive, but in the new edition, it might be more feasible. Like, your giant squads of Plague Marines will be mowing down enemy infantry.
Well, especially, break the back of the, 1 big Uber squad if the opponent's brought one.
Right, and, if you consider if you have a squad of 20 Plague Marines, then you could put a Mephitic Blight Hauler, which is the triple tread guy, and it gives them a 2-up save.
Yeah.
Just gives them cover if they're in range. And that, it is, wow, what a surprise. It's hard to get 20 Plague Marines off the table if they have a 2-up save. It's like a 380 point unit, but it's durable. Well, it's going to be more in the new edition, so it might be actually harder to pull off in the new edition. Depends on how many points you play at. But I think those are both in conjunction. They're double thumbs up. On their own, they're whatever. They're okay. But together, they work very well.
Next up, we got Putrid Fecundity. So using your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, and again, use it on Plague Marines. Mm-hmm. And it costs 2 or 3 command points depending on the unit size. Units that are 11 or more cost 3, otherwise it's 2. But until the end of the phase, when you make a disgustingly resilient roll with that unit, add 1 to the roll.
Right. So it's a 4-up disgusting resilient roll for your Plague Marines. And again, you can see that they're trying to put a focus on Plague Marines because Plague Marines will be I always thought they were awesome. I had a great time with them, and in close combat, they are a powerhouse. But most people, when playing Death Guard, they would typically focus on demon engines and demon princes, and then they bring poxwalkers or cultists as their troops, because Plague Marines never really had a place at higher level play. Now, a more casual level play, they're hilarious. I actually exclusively, for the most part, play with Plague Marines, unless I just can't afford 3 squads, then I just do throw in poxwalkers or something. That's okay. I haven't used that one yet, so I haven't quite seen its capability. But for 2 command points on a bigger squad, it might end up being too costly to use, and you might just be relying on their armor save more for durability. I don't know, because you have to do that. You have to do it as they're targeted, right?
You're chosen. When you're chosen as target of an attack.
If you could do it before you make your disgusting resilient rolls, then I'd put a lot more value behind it. But you typically have cover on Plague Marines for the most part. So, the attacks could whiff, and that's 2 command points you might be spending. Or, sorry, that could be 3 command points. It's 2 or 3. Ugh. So, yeah, I'm not kind of a thumbs down, but it could be big. Only because of the order of when you use it.
Yeah, so it's one of those situations. You're probably not going to use it very often, but once in a while, it might be nice.
It could be nice. Important to remember you have it. Yeah. You're probably not going to use it that much.
Next up, we got Trench Fighters. So 1 command point, and again, fight phase, Plague Marines. Yeah. Until the end of the phase, when a model in the unit fights, if it is equipped with 1 or more Plague Knives, it can make 1 additional attack with 1 Plague Knife.
So a Plague Knife is a Plague weapon. So again, when you consider this giant horde army of Plague Marines, it's not bad. Trench Fighters is really good. It pretty much makes it so they have 3 attacks on the charge with their Plague Knives, which are strength 4, rerolling wound rolls of 1, whatever. But if you have an Archer Contaminator nearby, they get to reroll all wound rolls with the Plague Knives. So that's a 20-man squad charging. Say they all get in. They'll have 15 of them have Plague Knives. That's still 45 attacks with Plague Knives that are rerolling all wound rolls.
So again, solid, but
not bad. I give it a thumbs up. It's okay. It's actually really good if you do like your. Typically, people like to bring Plague Marines with plasma guns and bolt guns. So if they charge into combat, you can get those extra Plague Knife attacks in. Could be useful.
Next up, we got Creeping Blight, 1 command point. So fight phase, Death Guard unit, chosen to fight with. Until the end of the phase, when resolving an attack made with a weapon by a model in the unit, add 1 to any damage roll for that attack. And an unmodified wound roll of 6, Armor Pen is -4.
Right, so this is kind of similar to the Relentless Volleys. Yeah, Virulent Rounds kind of stratagem. I find I don't like this one as much because I feel like the AP is not that necessary. It could be good. That one does work. So add 1 to any damage roll. That's the part I don't like because I'm trying to think of what that would be useful on. I'm thinking, okay, a Demon Prince with claws maybe could be 3 damage each. That would be kind of.
Would that be Plague Marine Stab and Primaris?
Well, it's add 1 to the damage roll made. So
it's not add 1 to the damage. Yeah, damage roll.
Sorry, not a demon prince with claws, but like a demon prince with the sword, because you roll D3 damage, so it's like D3.
Add 1 to any damage roll. Oh yeah, never mind.
Because it's kind of weird. I'm not a huge fan of that one. It's very obscure on what that power fist. Unless they meant to word that differently.
Damage roll. Yeah.
Add 1 to the damage roll.
So it's gonna be
any random variable.
So it's gonna be it's gonna be a variable.
Because that wouldn't work on fixed damage. So anything that does 1 damage or 2 damage or 3 damage, that has no effect on. Now, granted, they'll get AP on it, AP4, but a lot of melee weapons already have a pretty sizable AP. So I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that one. It could be worded incorrectly too. Maybe that'll get rotted. I don't know. It just seems kind of odd, right? It makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's no
just I don't know what that would work on. I don't know. A demon prince with a sword. A power fist. Not good stuff.
Well, next up we got Warp Toll. 1 command point. Use at the start of the morale phase. You select 1 noxious Blightbringer model from your army until the end of that phase. When taking a morale test for an enemy unit within 7 of that model, add 1 to the roll.
No.
In addition, if that morale test has failed, double the number of models that flee.
Right. So there could be uses for that. It's hard enough to get Space Marines to run off the table. They're typically massive small units, MSUs all over the place. So you're looking at 5-man intercessor squads that maybe if you kill 3 of them, that might work. And then you have to spend a command point to do it. And worse yet, you have to actually bring a noxious Blightbringer to your list, which is his claim to fame is you get to roll 2 dice when you advance and take the highest.
Well, he can be up there in their face.
He's got a plasma pistol too, as his default loadout.
So he's just gonna Forrest Gump his way up the board with his plasma pistol.
Exactly. He doesn't
Making people run away.
He doesn't have a melee weapon either, so.
Well, everybody has a melee weapon.
That's true, yeah, but he doesn't have like one that I would be. It's not worth mentioning. It's not a good. I don't like that stratagem. And typically, when you're looking at horde list, they all have their own way to be immune to morale, anyways. So, it's
true.
It's whatever.
Well, next up we get hyper toxic tinctures.
Yes.
So this is one of the before the battle stratagems. So you select a plague surgeon, and they get an ability, which is reroll wound rolls of 1 or 2 for attacks made with plague weapons by models and friendly Death Guard units, whilst their unit is within 6 of this model.
So if you really, so this is another reason to bring the plague surgeon. He's kind of up there with the noxious blightbringer, kind of overall worthless. He has a rule when attacking Astartes, because he likes to harvest their gene seed and incorporate it for the Death Guard. He's an apothecary, essentially. And he lets you reroll disgusting resilient rolls of 1, which is kind of crap. It does nothing. And it's only a 3-inch range too, so he's got to be like super close to them. So this does let you reroll plague weapon wound rolls of 1 or 2, but like why not just bring Arch Contaminator? Because he just lets you reroll all wound rolls within 7 inches already.
Maybe they want the doctor.
If you have a doctor and you like to use the doctor, then yes, the stratagem will make him better. That is like without a doubt. He will be without a doubt better. But kind of give it a thumbs down, and I'm sorry to anyone who really likes it. Unless I'm missing something vast, right? But I don't think I am on this one.
Next up, 1 command point, Noxious Rupture. So use it in any phase other than the morale phase when the last model and Death Guard unit from your army is destroyed. Before removing that model from play, select one enemy unit within 3 of that model until the end of your opponent's next turn, resolving an attack made by a model from the selected unit. Subtract 1 from the hit roll.
Right. That could be kind of good. There's a few situations where that is very good. It's not good all the time. I'll give it a thumbs up because it can be very useful if it dies near a plasma squad, for example, right? Or if it dies near...
Again, they're like big scary unit. Like, oh no, it died near their giant, super expensive knight.
Yeah. -1 hit. -1 hit. Like, that could be super good. Most often, you typically die at a range some pretty far away. What is the range on that to pick something? 3?
3.
So typically close combat. And yeah, Death Guard are usually pretty beefy in close combat in certain ways, so you should be winning those for the most part. Not all the time, but again, can be very useful if you're getting run over by a knight, which a lot of times that does happen. So yeah. That's a good example.
Close combat. Yeah,
exactly.
I guess
that's a good
works.
example, yeah. That one definitely works. I like that one.
So we have next up, Eruption of Filth. 1 command point. Use the stratagem when a Death Guard Terminator model from your army is destroyed. Before removing that model from play, roll 1d6 for each unit within 7 that does not have the Nurgle keyword. On a 4-up, unit suffers a mortal wound.
Sure, that's not bad. If that could be, it makes your Terminators explode when they die. Is it the last Terminator that dies, or is it for every when a?
Use the stratagem when a Death Guard Terminator model from your army is destroyed.
That could be kind of. Say you bring a 10-man squad of Terminators. You roll once for every Terminator that's destroyed. And then you could theoretically...
Is it once for every, or is it when a Death Guard Terminator model from your army is destroyed?
Oh, sorry, no. Okay, so Josh is right. I was reading it incorrectly. So when one of your Terminators is destroyed, on a 4-up, you can do mortal... For every unit within 7, you can do a mortal wound to them. That's okay. That could be very... Say there's a character with 1 wound there. Like, how do I kill it? On a 4-up, it's dead now, right?
Yeah, it's one of those, maybe you got multiple enemy units swinging on one of your Terminator squads. And kill a couple guys off, kill a character with a wound left, and
It's just, you know what? In this case, it doesn't take away from the Death Guard army. It just gives you more options. Therefore, I'll give it a thumbs up. Now, technically, they all do that, but there's some of them that are bad.
Super situational.
Exactly, yeah. Like that one, you'd probably typically use that once per game. If you're bringing Terminators, you're probably going to use that stratagem. There you go.
Mutant Strain, 1 command point.
Oh, I like this one a lot.
Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Poxwalker unit from your army is chosen to fight with. Until the end of that phase, when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a model in that unit against an infantry unit, an unmodified wound roll of 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target, and the attack sequence ends.
And they have 2 attacks each.
On an unmodified hit roll of 1, the model's unit suffers 1 mortal wound.
Yeah. So you could potentially kill your own guys off. Though they have disgusting resilience, so it's not that bad. I'm trying to think of all the ways they could reroll wound rolls, and it's unmodified wound rolls of 1, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so you can't even augment that with like Blades of Putrefaction or something. So no matter what, you're taking the mortal wounds, but I think it is well worth it. This is actually one of my favorite stratagems because again, one of my favorite lists is the Poxwalker, the massive like 100 to 150 Poxwalkers on the table against infantry, which they typically want to fight because if they kill infantry, every infantry they kill, they bring a model back into their Poxwalker unit. So they have 2 attacks each. A lot of them have a lot of attacks, and they can get up to strength 5, and they can get +2 to wound. I think I'm pretty sure veterans works on them, but Blades of Putrefaction definitely works on them. So you can get them strength 5 +2 to wound, and then it's unmodified 6s still, but they can just mow over infantry with that. And one of the hardest things to get through is a 2-up save or a 3-up save, and then that just gets right through that. I think it is beautiful. One of my favorites.
2 command point. Miasmal Afflictions. Use this stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select one enemy unit within 1 inch of a Plague Marine unit from your army. To the end of that phase, subtract 1 from the toughness characteristic of models in that enemy unit, whilst it is not within range of Mortarion's Toxic Presence ability.
Yes, so it's very important because if they didn't state that, then I would have been like, this is overpowered if you bring Mortarion. Because Mortarion has a similar ability, reducing toughness. He's got a 7-inch aura of all enemy units are -1 toughness. So stack that with Plague Marines -2 toughness. All of a sudden, a lot more of your... It's just more ways for the Death Guard armies to wound on 2s if they really, really wanted to. That is okay. It's 2 command points, so not a huge fan of that, but it is still pretty good. Though, you often don't need that because you have access to Veterans of the Long War, which is more effective than reducing toughness by 1 because you just straight up get +1 to wound. And Blades of Putrefaction, because this only works in melee, it's only 1-inch range. So if you're in melee with something, you're probably going to have Blades of Putrefaction on them, so that's another +1 to wound. So you could maybe get it to work so it's technically +3 to wound with that, but kind of not a huge fan of it. Plus, a lot of people like to bring Mortarion, so that wouldn't work at all anyway, so that's my opinion of it.
Continuing on down the list, we got Life Eater, 1 command point. Another fight phase, Death Guard unit. And until the end of the phase, when resolving an attack made with a plague weapon by a model in that unit, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically scores a hit and successfully wounds.
Yep, that's fine. It only works in the fight phase. Now, I've already found that the close combat stuff's pretty good on its own, and that just kind of stacks more good on it. So, I mean, I'm all for that. I love the 20-man or just big squads of Plague Marines that are all close combat weapons. It is a friggin' blast. I don't even care if I lose that game. As long as that unit does something cool, big fan of it. So Life Eater just helps it out a little bit more, so I'm a fan of it. Everything's a plague weapon, by the way, that they have. So it works really well.
Next up, Overwhelming Generosity, 1 command point. They're also cheap. It's nice.
It is, yeah.
Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Death Guard unit from your army, excluding cultists or poxwalkers, is chosen to shoot with. Until the end of that phase, add 6 inches to the range of plague weapons, excluding melee weapons.
Yeah, so I am not really a huge fan of this one because the only shooting... Oh, okay, no, that's not true. There is one build you can make this really good with. So the last of the 7 plague companies focuses on the flamer weapons, the plague spears. So they're all plague weapons with variable range. So now you can make all your plague spears. Typically, I've seen a couple people that like to play heavy into the plague weapons, the plague spears for a Death Guard. This works very well for them. But that's pretty much the only thing it works for because the only other shooting options are the blight launchers, which are already 24-inch range. You could make them 30 if you want, but you can only bring 2 in a squad. So, I mean, it's the same for the flamethrowers. You can only really bring 2 in a squad. But still, it's all right, but I'm not a huge fan of it.
1 command point, Fire Fever. Use this stratagem in the shooting phase after you declared how you will split the shots of a Hellbrute model that is equipped with 2 ranged weapons.
Yep.
Very specific.
Incredibly specific.
Until the end of the phase, if the model shoots all of its weapons at the same target when resolving an attack made by that model, you reroll the hit roll.
Is that Hellbrute bolded or Hellbrute not bolded? Okay,
Hellbrute bolded.
Okay, so it only specifically works for... Ooh. Interesting. Because that works for the Hellforge stuff.
I was going to say, you're thinking about Leviathans, aren't you?
I'm thinking...
You get this little twinkle in your eye when you think about Leviathans or Spartans.
Interesting. So wait, let's say that again. If it has 2 different weapons and it's
so it's going to have 2 ranged weapons.
Ranged weapons.
And until the end of the phase, if you shoot all the weapons at the same target, you reroll the hit roll.
So Death Guard, sure, it's 1 command point. Typically, you're going to have something nearby to let... So Leviathan's already hit on 2s. Hellforge Contenders already hit on 2s. So...
This is to help the people with the regular roll Hellbrutes.
So I was thinking, okay, maybe this would help with the Hellforge stuff. No, this is for the regular Hellbrutes that typically hit on 3s, re-rolling. So, okay, yeah, sure, it's whatever. But, I mean, I personally don't bring the double shooting Hellbrute, but it can be good, and that'd be multi-melta and missile launcher, I'm pretty sure. I
think that's the standard.
Although they can take las cannon, they can take a twin las cannon as well. Sure, whatever. It gives you more options if you like to run Hellbrutes as Death Guard that need the help for rerolling. If you don't have a Chaos Lord or a Demon Prince or a Lord of Contagion with the Harbinger of Nurgle stratagem nearby, then yeah, you could use that out. It lets them work. It lets them operate independently, which is kind of cool, I suppose. But they have to have 2 ranged weapons. I like my close combat Hellbrutes. Well, a pairing of.
You might like the other ones more now.
I guess maybe I like the other.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I have a Death Guard Hellbrute model that doesn't have a Hellbrute fist.
Yeah.
So
All right, moving to the last couple here, we got Parasitic Fumes, and that's at the end of your movement phase. It affects a Blight Hauler unit.
Yep.
Till the end of the turn, when an attack is allocated to an enemy model within 7 of that unit, improve the armor penetration characteristic of the weapon
by 1.
that attack is being made by 1.
Yeah, so you have to get your Mephitic, it's 1 command point? Yeah, so you have to get your Mephitic Blight Hauler up close and, within 7 inches of the enemy. But you also want to make sure your Plague Marines are within 7 inches of it, because you want to have the cover from it. And sure, it's all right. It's okay, I guess. It does help. You know what, that helps a lot with bolt guns, actually. That does help a lot with bolt guns.
Yeah.
Is it, do you have to roll a 6 or anything, or is it just always minus?
No, it's just it improves it by 1.
Yeah, so that would help out that list I was talking about with a ton of Plague Marines with bolt guns. If you don't roll a 6 to wound for minus 4 AP, well then you always at least get 1 AP on your bolt guns. With that many bolt gun shots, you're looking at a good time. That is because the Mephitic Blight Hauler is going to naturally fit in with the Plague Marine list, I give this 2 thumbs up. I remember considering to use this, but it never came up, and I didn't have the command points to use it, but I remember it being on my radar for stuff I wanted to use with that list. And I think it's really good.
Closing in here on the last couple, we got Accelerated Entropy.
Yeah.
So this is before the battle.
Yep.
Select 1 Plagueburst Crawler model from your army. Till the end of the battle, entropy cannons that model and all friendly Plagueburst Crawler models within 7 are equipped with. They get Plague Weapon. Mm-hmm. And when resolving an attack made with this weapon, a damage roll of 1 or 2 cancels 3 instead.
Yes, I am a big fan of that stratagem. But it might not come up that much because I got to imagine a lot of people that brought Plagueburst Crawlers. In fact, I actually used this stratagem in our game because I played all Demon Engines. I had 3 Plagueburst Crawlers. I had 2 with Entropy Cannons. Most people have the Plague Spitters on them, the Flamers. Because it was always typically accepted that they just run up the field and just shoot their... If the mortars hit, they hit. They're not there for the mortars. They're there for the Flamers and the high durability and the kind of distraction carnifex element they added to your list. Now, this makes the Entropy Cannons amazing. But a lot of you probably don't have those built on there. Or you maybe magnetize them, which would have been very good. I think that is... Bringing 3 of them with that, all Entropy Cannons, they literally just sit in the back and mortar and shoot out these, like... longer range melta guns that do, is it minimum 3 damage now, or is it minimum 2?
Minimum 3.
Yeah, it's D6, minus 4, strength 8, rerolling 1s to wound. Abso-freaking-lutely. Really good stratagem.
So you think, like, just based on the stratagem, people going home and, like, snapping off the...
I don't want to be as bold as to claim that, but I think I would prefer, because I always thought it was kind of weird they rushed up, and I like them kind of in the back as artillery, or serving the purpose of artillery. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of that stratagem. Absolutely.
Okay, last of the generic stratagems anyways, that all of the Death Guard get access to. We have 1 command point, Contaminated Monstrosity. So use this stratagem before the battle. Select 1 Death Guard unit, excluding cultists and titanic units from your army with a wounds characteristic of 12 or less for 1 CP, 13 or more for 2. Why doesn't this do the 1-2 like all the other ones did?
I know, that is kind of weird. I don't know why they did that. Yeah.
Till the end of the battle, if that unit does not have Disgustingly Resilient, it gets it.
Yeah, so I'm trying, like, that's supposed to be for like a Predator or for like a Land Raider. I'm trying to think of like, what else is a unit that doesn't have... It's like the old school vehicles. So like the stuff that the Death Guard were able to keep from Chaos Space Marines, that isn't new. Because they can't use Helldrakes, they can't use a lot of the other demon engines, they can't use like Mauler Fiends or Forge Fiends. They have their own specific Death Guard demon engines now. So I think the only thing I really think of is like the old school tanks, like Rhinos. You could have disgustingly resilient Rhinos. You could have disgustingly resilient Land Raiders and Predators and...
Well, it's only 1 though, right?
Right. You use it before the battle.
Before the battle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Never mind.
You could use it 5 times. if you really wanted to.
Okay, so yeah, if you want to turn your
armored,
your old
Death
stuff
Guard.
that doesn't.
Yeah, you know what? I guarantee there's probably some people out there that have a Death Guard armored company.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds cool.
Well, one of the plague companies, I think the second plague company, actually is specifically based on that one specific list.
Now, are there still characters that don't have it as well, like generic?
Oh yes, that's true. I forgot about that. That would be Chaos Lord and Sorcerer.
Yeah.
Specifically Chaos Lord and Sorcerer. They don't have Disgustingly Resilient. Whereas every other character does, I say. I could be lying, but I think it's just specifically those two. So if you don't like paying the extra, like 20, 15, or is it even 15 anymore for the Millennium Playcaster over the Sorcerer, then you can spend a command point and give it Disgustingly Resilient, I suppose. But then you use Pestilential Fallout. The Playcaster is worth it, I'm almost certain. But now you can give your Chaos Lords Disgustingly Resilient, and if that always kind of bothered you, they didn't have it before, well, bam, there you go.
And that's all of the new generic stratagems for them.
That's pretty much it. Next, we're going to move on to the 7 plague companies the Death Guard have access to. And that'll summarize the video. That'll be it after that, because that's all the new stuff. But the plague companies have a lot going on.
Ready to move on to the different plague companies now. Or as you were calling them,
The fecund companies, I think. I don't know. I guess I'm technically not wrong because it's still kind of relevant, but they're supposed to be the great plague, the plague companies.
And I think they stuck with the lore here because there's the 7 companies, right?
There's the 7 companies of the Death Guard. So this is a big win.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's a big win for the Death Guard there.
I like it. Yeah. Okay, so the first one is the Harbingers. So this is the first plague company.
Yep.
And this is, Typhus.
This is the Typhus's company, yeah.
So if this detachment contains Typhus, that model gets that keyword.
Yep.
The Harbingers one. And if it contains any Poxwalker units, they get the Harbingers faction keyword as well.
No, so what they mean by this is the generic rules for the plague companies is named characters don't get the keywords, and cultists and Poxwalkers don't get the keywords either. But specifically for the Harbingers, Typhus supersedes that because he very much so belongs into the Harbingers. And then Poxwalkers are his thing, so they very much belong with the Harbingers as well. So they supersede this one rule here. And with all these plague companies, you get 2 stratagems, 1 warlord trait, and 1 relic. Now, this one I'm confused about because Typhus has his own warlord trait in the Death Guard Codex over here, which is, I can't remember which one it was. I remember it not being great. I never used it. He was never the warlord, even though he was Typhus, which that kind of stuff always bothered me.
Yep.
Now, this one doesn't say he has to take Shamble Rot, which is the warlord trait.
Well,
here.
I assume he would keep the other one.
He would keep this one here.
Yeah, so the Shamble Rot's just for if you take a character that's not him.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, I figured they would have made Typhus take this one instead, but he doesn't. He takes the one built in here.
Well, let's find out what it does.
Yeah.
When an enemy infantry model is destroyed as the result of an attack made with a melee weapon by this warlord, you add 1 model to a friendly Harbinger's Poxwalker unit within 7 of the warlord. You must pay reinforcement points for that model that you add to the unit that would increase the unit above its starting strength.
Which is fine. That's just how Poxwalkers work now.
Yeah.
And that's an okay warlord trait. But I mean, you could. I'm trying to think of like who you want to bring it on. So with that list, you're already putting so many. You're putting about 500 points to the side for your Poxwalkers because you have to pay for them if you want them to be. And that's 100 Poxwalkers right there because they're 5 points a model. And you typically only really want 100 to 120. So maybe you're gonna do like maybe 600 points or something to the side. But anyways. It's hard enough to fit in an extra character into this list is what I'm saying. So this list is going to have Typhus, no matter what, because otherwise why are you doing the list without Typhus? And then you're going to have a Demon Prince or a Plaguecaster or a Sorcerer because you want access to a little bit more psychic powers. And at that point, you already have your characters, you have a lot of your points in Cultists and then other support units nearby. So it's kind of hard to pull off. But whatever, it's a new warlord trait. Maybe you'll find a way to make it work. It does work specifically well with Poxwalkers. Now, again, I'm kind of skewing this Legion, or this company, into one specific build that I typically like to play. Now, if you're the type who likes to run 6 squads of Poxwalkers and have them all over the place, then this is for you because they have access to some new great stratagems as well, which we'll get into in a moment.
Well, let's do the relic first, and that is the Rot Skull Bomb. Because if there's one type of relic that I love and is always good, is it's grenades.
This was actually pretty good.
So, models go with the Blight Grenade only. Replaces the Blight Grenade with the following. So, 6-inch range, grenade 2d3, strength 5, AP minus 2, 2 damage.
Yep.
It's a plague weapon. When resolving an attack made with this weapon, don't make a hit roll. It automatically scores a hit.
I don't understand that. It's a grenade that automatically hits no matter what. and it's good. It's got a good profile. 2d3 shots, strength 5, -2, 2 damage. It's all right. There's better relics, but I find it funny. It's weird, right?
It's hilarious. It's one of those, like, I feel like if you play against it, you're gonna be like, what? Wait, you took, like, you're not gonna take it seriously. Oh, you took a grenade relic? Great.
Yeah, exactly. And then goodbye intercessors, because they just died to this grenade, and that's going to be a blast as well. So if you're targeting a larger unit, then you're going to have
in the new edition is something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it'll automatically have more hits against larger units. So that's something to consider. And it's got a 6-inch range, which is a grenade range. But when you consider that with poxwalkers, because you're going to be bringing poxwalkers, there's a stratagem called the dead walk again. Whenever an infantry model dies within 7 inches of your poxwalkers, you get to add more poxwalkers to your unit. So that could help kill and add more poxwalkers to your unit.
That's kind of hilarious.
It's something.
There are 2 stratagems. First one is Life Beyond Death, 1 command point. Used in the fight phase, when the last model in a harbinger's unit from your army is destroyed as the result of an attack, unit containing that model that makes the attack suffers D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah. And there's no, it's only melee. Yeah, it's only in the fight phase. So
yeah, it's only fight phase.
So this doesn't help the list I typically run, because this is looking at, no, you gotta remember, this is only things with the Harbinger's keyword, so you can't spam cultists and try and, you can't just spam like as many cultist units as you want, have them all run off and die and then do D3 mortal wounds as they explode, because they don't get the Harbinger keyword. But that does work with Poxwalkers. So you could run minimum squads of 10 Poxwalkers, run them all over the place, and they're not going to do any damage, because if they don't have support, they're crap. But if they get charged in combat, they can at least blow up and do D3 mortal wounds for a command point. Now, the way this does help my list, and if anyone out there mirrors my list, which is the large squad of Poxwalkers, which that won't really help, there's a lot of characters in that list. So your characters can go around, and if they get caught off in combat and die, well, they can at least blow up and do D3 mortal wounds. It's not a bad stratagem. I think it's super fun and funny, but if you are the type to run multiple squads of small Poxwalkers, this is kind of up your alley. This is really good.
Their second stratagem is From the Carrion Heaps. It's either 1 or 3 command points.
Yep.
Use it before the battle. You select 1 unit of the Harbinger's Poxwalkers for 1 command point, or you can select 2 units for 3 command points. You basically kind of get to do a deep strike with them.
Yeah.
They come in at the end of the movement phase. You can set that unit up anywhere in the battlefield, wholly within 9 of a battlefield edge, and more than 9 away from enemy.
Yeah, so they outflank onto the table. This does help the list I was talking about, not my specific list, because now someone could argue, well, Luka, you can hide your Poxwalkers so they can't get shot right away. I'm like, that means if on turn they can't show up till turn 2, and they have to outflank, so they're coming in from a battlefield edge, so it's hard to set up my cultists all around them. And then that gives people free reign to shoot the cultist turn 1, and I might lose a lot of cultists and not be able to gain Poxwalkers off that. So what this is for the person who likes to run many squads of Poxwalkers. It's just assume there's massive piles of dead corpses all over the place from the Death Guard.
Yeah.
And then they just rise as zombies, which is amazing. Like, thematically amazing. Power-wise, there's use for it. If I'm going to play the Harbingers, I won't be using that, because I'll be playing the Harbingers in a very specific way, which is one giant horde of zombies that grows exponentially throughout the course of the game.
So that's it for the first play company. Moving on to the second, which is the Inexorable.
And I do want to note, sorry to interrupt, I want to note...
Not moving on.
Not moving on, that these play companies, out of all 7 of these, I wasn't like, this is the one, right? This is not the one play company that everyone's going to play, which is good, because they all play very vastly different, and it's mostly because of all the play companies. Not every aspect of it wasn't great. It'd be like, oh, I like that one relic for my typical play style, so I guess I'll play that play company, or I like that one stratagem, so I guess I'll play that play company, or I like that relic. So, like in the game that Josh and I played, when we get to the Poxmongers, I liked the relic of them, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll build this list around the Poxmongers, and that was literally it.
Yeah. So moving on to the Inexorable now.
Yeah.
Second Plague Company. Their Warlord trait, Ferric Blight. When resolving an attack made with a weapon by a friendly Inexorable model against an enemy vehicle unit within 7 of the Warlord, improve the armor pen characteristic by 1.
And then, like, let's say you have a Mephitic Blight Hauler nearby with that stratagem we discussed earlier, then that would stack up to 2, right?
Okay.
And you're thinking the second Plague Company is your spearhead. It's your armored company. It's your Death Guard armored company that aren't demon engines.
Yeah.
Typically. So this is your Predators, your Land Raiders, heavy transports, Spartan assault tanks, all that. That's what this Plague Company is supposed to be. So that just helps improve. It helps everyone, but this is meant to be tanks. The Warlord trait, sure, it's whatever. It does stack nicely with that one stratagem.
Okay. Their relic, the Leech Spore Casket. When a model is destroyed as a result of an attack made with a melee weapon by a model from your army with this relic, one friendly inexorable vehicle model within 18 regains up to 1 lost wound.
Yep.
Each model from your army can regain up to 3 lost wounds per turn as a result of this ability.
Yeah, so a character goes around beating up other enemies, and then he can heal vehicles with it. So he kind of ends up being like a warp smith, but he has to kill stuff first. It's okay. It doesn't scream at me. I don't love it, but it helps your vehicle list. It heals your vehicles, right? And these vehicles don't have the capability of healing beforehand because, they just don't have that.
Okay.
So it's all right.
So for their 2 stratagems, first one command point, Ferric Miasma. Use the stratagem in your opponent's charge phase when a inexorable unit from your army is chosen as the target of a charge declared by an infantry unit. Subtract 2 from the charge roll.
Yes, and that doesn't simplify anything but fly, so just infantry. So like, okay, that is good. I like that stratagem. It reduces charges by 2 for your vehicles, and if things are, if things are showing up more than 9 away, then those are 11-inch charges, right? That's something to consider. That is a very useful stratagem, and that will probably come up if you play the inexorable. Maybe you play them specifically for that stratagem, right? Who knows? Maybe you just hate when people show up around you and surround you. Well, you can stop them from doing that at least a little bit.
Okay. So their other command point, I think this might be a talking point, we'll see in a second. So use at the start of your shooting phase, 1 command point, Unholy Essence. You select up to 3 of your vehicles from your army.
This is the one
until the end of that phase, you get the Inexorable Advance ability, which is what?
So an Inexorable Advance lets you, increases the range of your rapid fire weapons. So first of all, you need, I'm thinking combi bolters on certain vehicles. That's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else. On like the old school Space Marine, the Chaos Space Marine vehicles.
Yeah.
Even the newer ones don't typically have rapid fire weapons. Now the other thing about the Inexorable Advance, which is in this book here, you ignore moving and firing heavy weapons.
Which
is pointless.
As far as we know, the new edition allows vehicles to do that anyways.
Right, so I don't know what they're... I got to imagine they wrote this with the idea of 9th edition. I could be completely wrong, but that's just a guess on my end. But that effectively does nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge fan of that. Unless for whatever reason I'm like not thinking of something clearly, but for the most part, I think that just kind of does nothing.
Okay.
Yeah. Next one's Mortarion's Anvil.
That's the 3rd plague company.
That's the 3rd of 7 plague companies.
So Warlord trait here, Gloaming Bloat. When resolving an attack made against this Warlord, an unmodified wound roll of 1 to 3 always fails.
Yes.
Irrespective of any abilities that the weapon or the model making that attack has.
Right. This is a good Warlord trait. A lot of you might take Mortarion's Anvil specifically for this Warlord trait. This is also the plague company that revolves around the Terminators, the first company kind of idea. Not first company, but obviously the 3rd company in this case. But it's the Terminator company.
Is this the Terminator company?
Yeah. It's known as Mortarion's Anvil. Was the Warriors of the 3rd Plague Company excel at digging in and letting their foes dash themselves against their defenses. They carry the gloaming blow to plague a fever that sweats. Well, maybe I can't. I don't really. It's got Terminator stratagems.
Oh, okay. It's got. Well, I guess it's got.
It's got the one.
I don't know why I'm going to give you a tough time about that. I guess I haven't
true.
in a while.
So what I should say is it's Mortarion's Anvil, so it's an Anvil type list.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to be able to take a hit. That's the idea. Therefore, we have a Warlord trait where you can only be wounded on 4s. There's actually another Terminator stratagem in a different company as well, so maybe that's more the Terminator one, I should say. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Okay.
This Warlord trait is okay. I like it. Comparing it to this is a great example of one of the Warlord traits you could use that stratagem on to grab it. Say you want Arch Contaminator on one guy, then you want like a Demon Prince with the Gloaming Bloat. So he could be very reckless with him. He can, no matter what, you can go forward. He's toughness 6. He's already kind of tough, but only being wounded on 4s is very nice. So knights,
that's all attacks, not just
it's all attacks. So like you can go toe to toe with a knight, and the knight's very few attacks that would be good at killing a demon prince only wound him on 4s. Yeah. So that's something to consider. I do like this Warlord trait.
Okay, their relic, Toolkeeper, Tallyman model only. I assume because I haven't seen Tallyman anywhere else so far and all this stuff that they're amazing and everybody takes a lot of them.
I like Tallymans. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so Tallymans are typically, Josh is right. I think Tallymans are typically really good. They're a Dark Apostle equivalent.
Yep.
So they reroll hit rolls, and then they have a rule called the Sevenfold Chant. Whenever you use a stratagem, if you roll 2d6, if you roll exactly 7, you get all of the CP back for that stratagem.
Okay, so the way this works is when resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a model in a Mortarion's Anvil unit from your army within 7 of the guy with this relic, unmodified hit roll of 6 scores 1 additional hit.
Sure. Yeah. It's kind of like he could go forward with a close combat squad, or he could hold back. So he wants to stick around close combat units anyway. So that is not a bad relic. Though I'll be honest, there's a couple of other ones I'd rather have, like the separating plate. And so the Death Guard do have access to taking extra relics. So if you really wanted to, you have the access to do that. That is a good relic to have. But I don't think it's like a primary relic, if you want to call it that. I'd rather take the separating plate. I think.
Probably.
Yeah. For the most part. Yeah.
Onto their stratagems, we got one command point, Relaptic Assault.
Yep, Relaptic Assault.
So, okay, you use in your opponent's charge phase. You select one of the anvil infantry units from your army. Until the end of the phase, they can perform a heroic intervention as if they were a character.
Yes, so this is the Legion. This is the company I went with when I played my game against Steve, mostly because of that stratagem.
Okay.
I liked it, so I love heroic intervention. It is a great rule that can really throw your opponent off. And you know what? In that game in the future, if you remember this review, then you'll remember a moment in the game where I kind of threw Steve off with a not this heroic intervention, because you should always let your opponent know you can do stuff like that. But 20-man squads of Plague Marines that are kitted out for close combat, or even like 10-man squads that are all for close combat, or just typically good in close combat, say they charge a character nearby them, it's like, oh, I don't want to pull them in. Well, you better stay 3 inches away, because then I can heroically intervene with them now. Yeah. That's not bad. I actually really like Relaptic Assault. It's got a lot more power than you would initially think.
Okay, so here's the Terminator stratagems. Let's see if this makes them feel like the Terminator company, like Luka said.
It's one of them.
2 or 3 command points, and you use it in your opponent's shooting phase. When a Mortarion's Anvil Terminator unit from your army is chosen as a target for an attack. Till the end of the phase, when resolving an attack made with a weapon against that unit, reduce the damage characteristic of that weapon by 1 to a minimum of 1. So if it's dependent of the unit size. So if it's 5 or fewer models, it costs 2. Otherwise, it costs 3.
Correct. So if you have a 5-man squad, it only costs 2. It's pretty good. I typically only run 5-man squads. I've done 10 a couple times, I suppose. But so this, I take back what I said about this being the Terminator company. There's the other one I think fits a little bit more. I can't remember what it's called. It's not the Wretched, but it's the one after that. But this one just kind of further enforces the Anvil-like playstyle. The Mortarion's Anvil would be another company I'd play for my like 3-pronged strike list, which is like the fetid blow drones as like the first wave, and then the Terminators all drop down as the second wave, and then the Plague Marines all make it up on the third wave. And then they're all more durable than they were before at a cost of some CP. And it's pretty good. I like it.
Cool.
And that's pretty much it for them. It's just a durable Death Guard company. That's the idea of it.
Moving on to the next one, we got the Wretched, which is the 4th plate company.
Yeah, this one's all right.
So the Warlord trait, we got the Eater Plague. When an enemy model is destroyed as a result of an attack made with a melee weapon by this Warlord regains up to 1 lost wound, maximum of 3 wounds per phase. So
if he gets 1 wound per model killed, he can heal up to 3. That's okay, sure. Yeah, that's that can go in a Demon Prince. That kind of supersedes that could supersede the Tainted Regeneration Warlord trait. If you could get a little bit more out of this one, I kind of like it. If you like the Tainted Regeneration, consider this one. Consider the Wretched.
Okay. Their relic, the Demon's Favor, so Malignant Plague Caster model only. He replaces his Pestilential Fallout ability with the following. Torrent of Putrefaction.
Yeah.
After resolving a psychic power manifested, if the result was less than 7, the nearest... Oh, geez. If the result was less than 7, the nearest enemy unit within 7 suffers 1 mortal wound.
And if it's higher than 7, then it's 2?
D3 mortal wounds.
D3. Okay. So the rule was, I mentioned it earlier, if you roll unmodified 7 or more, they take a mortal wound. This makes it so no matter what, you do mortal wounds. But you can do more if you roll a 7 pluses. I love this relic. I think it's a relic, right?
It's a relic.
Okay, so you can't take both this and the relic that would let him cast a 3rd power.
Okay.
Right. So it's kind of either or. Where I was talking about, you could take this and make it so you could get maybe more wounds. This one's obviously much better. I think it's kind of cool.
Would you be the madman and you just take two different plague casters, each with the relic?
Yeah, you could do that. So the Wretched company is all about summoning Nurgle demons to the battlefield and sorcery. Yeah. That's what their whole thing is. So as you can see right now, there's nothing. If you want to play narratively the Wretched, you take 2 playcasters, and one's got the Demon's Favor, and the other one's got I can't quite remember what it was, but it allows them to cast the 3rd power. It was like the Periapt, I think. It was the Periapt, yeah. Periapt?
Apt.
Periapt. I'm bad with that word.
I'm bad with words, apparently. There's stratagems. We have 1 command point, 7-fold blessings. Use a stratagem for the battle. Select one wretched psyker until the end of the battle. When a psychic test is taken for that model, you can reroll one of the dice. You only get to use this once per battle.
Once per battle, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. And well, it's something. Oh, so 7-fold blessings, yeah. That could be clutch.
So I mean, he always has it. You just can't have multiple psychers with it.
Until the end of the battle, when it's like, oh, sorry, I thought I didn't read the before the battle part. That's actually really good. That of course, if you're gonna you obviously use that if you're gonna take a psyker based demon summoning Death Guard list. You're of course gonna use that on one of your psychers. I 100% put it on the guy who does D3 with the Demon's Favor relic. In fact, I'll probably try this list out once just to screw around. I've never actually done demon summoning with Death Guard, so I want to give it a shot.
Okay, well, I think that moves on to the next one here. Yeah. So we got 1 command point, the Rotted Veil. So you use it at the end of your movement phase. You select one wretched character unit from your army that has not performed a demonic ritual this turn. Mm-hmm. That unit can perform a demonic ritual as if it were your movement phase and that model had not moved, regardless of whether or not it arrived as reinforcements this turn. In addition, until the end of the turn, when that unit performs a demonic ritual, only roll 1d6 for the summoning result, add 7 to the result.
Right, so that gives you a more precise summon. And so first of all, to summon, and a lot of you out there don't do it, so you might have forgotten the rule, you're not allowed to move when you summon. Yeah. So this lets you move and summon, which is already amazing, and it lets you do a more precise summon, but it doesn't let you shoot high. The highest you could roll is 14, I guess?
13, right? Because it's d6 plus...
Oh, it is 13, yeah, 13. It's 7, not 8. 13 can get you some good stuff. I can't remember all the Nurgle Demon power levels off the top of my head, but that it stops you from rolling 3. It stops you from rolling 4. No matter what, you're getting 8, yeah. Which is good. And I would use that alone for the capability of moving and summoning, because when you summon demons, they have to be near the guy that summoned them. So if you could then move forward and then summon, that is very powerful. I like the Wretched quite a bit, and I would definitely try a list of them out in the future. At some point, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe my next game. No promises.
All right, next up we got the Poxmongers, 5th Plague Company. Start off with the Warlord trait, the Sanguis Flux. When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon by a friendly Poxmongers model against an enemy infantry unit, whilst that model's unit is within 7 of the Warlord, you get better armor pen.
So this one doesn't really fit too... It does kind of. So you got to consider demon engines. Demon engines are meant to shoot and be good at close combat. When I think of Death Guard demon engines, I still don't think of close combat. I'm thinking the only thing that could perform in close combat is the Fetid Blow Drone, who's got the lawnmower.
You get the Defilers? They go...
Oh, you're right. Yes, Defilers. That was my biggest... So my biggest upset with that game we played is the fact I couldn't fit a Defiler in the list. And I kind of... Because we kind of toyed around with the 9th edition rules a little bit in that game. So yeah. I didn't think about it at the time, but Defilers are going to be so cool in the 9th edition that my only regret is I didn't bring one in the game. Not that it would have changed too much up, it just would have been kind of cool. But yes, Defilers are something they can run, but they can't do Mauler Fiends. What other demon engines are there? They can't do Helldrakes.
I play Night Lords that don't use demon stuff, so I don't know anything about this.
So that only really works well with the Defilers if you want more AP on their melee weapons, or if you're going to run Fetid Blow Drones with the lawnmower attachment instead of the spears. But I typically prefer the Flamers. Okay. It's okay. It doesn't fit that well, though, I think. I could be wrong. But
now we got their Relic, which is the Ironclot Furnace.
This is good.
Models in a Poxmongers Demon Engine... So yeah, models in Poxmongers Demon Engine units from your army have a 4-up invulnerable save while they're within 7 of the dude with the Relic.
Yes, so Demon Engines already have a 5-up invulnerable save, so this is saying +1 to your invulnerable save, essentially. I like this. This is that Relic alone is why I decided to go with the Poxmonger company, because I looked through all the companies. I was trying to... Like, as we're doing this review now, I'm already thinking of new lists I could play as we're kind of going into in-depth. It helps when you have someone else to bounce ideas off of too. But with the Poxmongers, it was the most evident, the most immediate, like, oh, that's good. This is a good bonus to an already good list before, which is the Plague Burst Crawler, Fetid Blow Drones, Demon Engine kind of spam list, giving them an insane, like, even more durability on top of the insane amount of durability they had to begin with. It works with Mephitic Blade Haulers as well, if you like to run them. But a 4-up invulnerable save on your Demon Engines, awesome. But it does run the risk of this character dying and then you losing access to that relic. So you want to put on someone durable, if you can.
Definitely somebody durable.
Definitely someone durable. Someone who
Just can't die.
So someone who just doesn't die.
All right. There's stratagems. We have 2 command points here. Or sorry, 1 command point. 2 stratagems.
2 stratagems that are both 1 command point.
The flux abated. So, using the fight phase, when an enemy model is destroyed as a result of an attack made by model in the... Yeah, so Demon Engine kills something.
Yep.
One model in the unit can regain D3 lost wounds.
They have to kill them under certain circumstances? Fight phase only.
Fight phase,
so
yeah.
it's more fight phase stuff. So when you consider that with a Defiler's probably going to kill stuff in close combat, they have, I believe they have something called, is it Tainted Regen? No, it's not Tainted. What is the, remember the it will not die rule? They used to have that, but it was under a certain rule. Tainted Regeneration, Unholy Regeneration. Regardless, Defilers, as a Demon Engine, have a rule where they heal 1 wound every turn.
Yeah.
So this on top of that, they could heal even more.
Okay, yeah.
And then you take other things into consideration as well. Oh, actually, no, this one doesn't have any more other healing. That was the inexorable that had the healing. But yeah, that's a good stratagem to use on Defilers. I think specifically Defilers. If you like to run Defilers, I think they're going to be awesome, so you should.
Why didn't you run Defilers?
Oh, because they're kind of crap this edition, but they're about to be amazing. Unless they're 400 points, which is terrifying. They could just, because they're adjust the points and everything, they could just take a Defiler and be like, boop, way up here now. Because you got to consider, it can move and shoot and fight all in close combat now, no penalties. It's going to be good. It's going to be scary. I think Defiler's a highlight for sure.
Okay, so second stratagem here, using the shooting phase, select 1 Demon Engine unit from your army until the end of the phase. That unit can shoot in a turn in which it fell back.
Right, so that is okay. But with the new vehicle rules, you can shoot into combat unless you have a blast weapon, then that has to go somewhere else. But if you are going to die in that combat and you don't want to commit to it, maybe you just want to fall back, you can at least now shoot.
Well, you can shoot at something else too if you need to, right?
That's true, and that's true, because if you have to shoot at, if something's tying you up with kind of crap you don't want to shoot at, you can then fall back and still shoot, that's a great stratagem as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that is the Poxmongers.
Yeah, that is the Demon Engine Company. Now we're on the 6th one, I believe.
We're on the 6th, the Ferrymen, which I think is going to be your Terminator one.
This is the Deep Strike Terminator kind of insertion, and then the Terminators have some bonus rules as well.
So their Warlord trait is the droning. When a morale test is taken for an enemy unit within 12 of the Warlord, add 2 to the result.
Sure, I don't like that, but okay. It's morale, right?
Yeah.
Maybe in the new edition, they tease, at the point of this recording, they tease some of the morale rules, so that could be kind of good, but you could stack that with, I believe, the Plague Marines can take the Icon of Despair, which then further reduces morale by even more, or leadership by more. So that could be -3 if you really wanted it to be, which could have some lasting effects. If maybe you take the Noxious Blightbringer with his little relic. If you take 2 relics, then you can reduce it by 4. But I've often experienced in both Age of Sigmar and 40k that leadership bomb lists don't typically do anything.
It feels very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, so the relic.
Yeah.
The Ferryman's Scythe. So model equipped with a Plague Reaper only.
That's the Lord of Contagion only. Yeah.
So his new weapon is Strength +4. What was it before?
Strength +3. Nope.
Ooh.
It's Strength +3, I think. You know what? I can look it up. That's true. Because he was Strength +2. Strength +2 before. Plague Reaper? Yeah, Strength +2. So he was Strength 6 with this one.
Okay. And now you get your -3 AP, 3 damage.
That's what it was before.
Plague weapon.
Yep.
And when resolving an attack made with this weapon, an unmodified wound roll of 6 inflicts a mortal wound on the target in addition to other damage.
So you said Plague Reaper, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Plague Reaper was my favorite weapon, even though it only made him Strength 6, whereas the other one made him Strength 7. So he typically be wounding on 3s, not 2s. Not that the other one would. Anyways, regardless. So it gave him lower strength by 1, but it made it flat 3 damage instead of the other one's D3 damage. The other one's Strength 7, D3. Yeah. This one's Strength 6, flat 3. But now this one's Strength 8, -3, flat 3. Yeah. So this one is a Thunderhammer, essentially, without the -1 to hit. And it does mortal wounds in addition on unmodified. On unmodified wound rolls 1?
Yeah. Unmodified, yep.
Of 6, not
I'm just so happy they're doing more of the unmodified stuff in this sense.
So am I. Now, granted, Death Guard have access to multiple ways to stack bonuses to wound, but I understand why they're doing a modified, because it could be too powerful. Because if you did have that, he has 5 attacks on the charge, he could charge in, and you can give him +2 to wound. So every 4 up to wound is a mortal wound in addition to its 3 damage, and he wounds on 2s against everything pretty much. Yeah. So there's no point in that. That'd be unless it's something toughness 9. That would be a very powerful combination, but obviously that's why they don't allow that.
Okay, there are 2 stratagems. We got the first one, 2 command points on droning wings. So start of the movement phase, select 1 ferryman unit from your army until the end of the turn. Yeah. The range of that unit's aura abilities is increased by 7.
Yeah, so with this one, I really kind of see them trying to make it so you want to use the Lord of Contagion. The Lord of Contagion can show up, you'll have a better Plague Reaper. Plague Reaper is the one you typically want to give him anyways. And then you can increase the, you want to give him the Harbinger of Nurgle, so your rerolls hit rolls a 1 for Death Guard nearby. And then if he doesn't make his charge, you could then at least make his aura longer so that the Terminators that arrive with him at least make their charge and get the aura benefits of him.
2 command points though.
Yeah.
And then what's the Nurgle's gift ability?
It
does specify that the Nurgle's gift ability still only affects enemy units within 1.
So Nurgle's gift is that really bad Lord ability he initially came with, where at the beginning of your turn, if you have a Death Guard unit within, I believe it's 3 inches of a character with that rule, then
or within 1.
It's like a twofold ability with 2 different ranges on it. So you as a Death Guard unit have to be in range of your Lord, and if you are, that unit now has a new ability that has a 1-inch aura around it at the beginning of your turn that does a mortal wound to an enemy on a 4-up if you're in combat.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So that would affect the range of his aura, but when do you have to do it? At the start of the movement phase and until the end of the turn? That's weird, because that wouldn't affect it right away. But yeah, sure. Okay, that's kind of weird, yeah. Because at the start of the movement phase, they wouldn't be there. They come at the end of the movement phase. I'm not actually a huge fan of that one. That's only for like after they've already deep struck and say he fails the charge or something.
Yeah.
But then you have to use that before he would fail. You'd have to know he's going to fail a charge to use it. And it's already 2 command points. So I'm not a huge fan of that.
Okay.
I like that. I like a stratagem like that to be more usable whenever you want. Commit when it's necessary, not make a decision to use 2 command points and it turns out it was useless.
Yeah.
Boom.
Okay. The other stratagem, Vermid Whispers. 1 command point. Use it in the shooting phase when a unit of Blightlord Terminators from your army is chosen to shoot with until the end of the phase. When resolving an attack made by a model in that unit, add 1 to the hit roll.
So I love this stratagem. This is Fury of the First. This is Fury of the Proven. This is all of that stuff. You're a Terminator, you get +1 to hit for 1 command point. Now, that is specifically good with Combi Plasma. Your Plasma can never get hot.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they all show up with Combi Plasma, and they just +1 to hit, you don't care. Done. And
unless they make the change in 9th edition to its unmodified.
Unmodified ones. They could do that.
I'd be happy.
Which I would also be happy with. But for now, for these like this period of time before 9th edition comes out, yeah, it works pretty well.
Okay. And then the last here, this is Mortarion's Chosen Son. So the 7th Plague Company. Was that Garo's company back in the heresy?
Yes, Garo was the captain of the 7th Company of the Death Guard. Obviously, not so much. Nathaniel Garo!
So the Warlord trait here, Crawling Pustulence.
Yes, Crawling Pustulence.
When resolving an attack made with a melee weapon against the Warlord, subtract 1 from the hit roll. When an enemy unit, excluding units that can fly, within 1 inch of the Warlord falls back, roll 1d6. On a 2-up, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Yep,
that's okay. It kind of forces things to try and stay in combat with you, but if they fall back and take D3 mortal wounds, well, they do that too.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
It's all right. To me, it's a whatever Warlord trait. If you really want to have it, you can have it. If you don't, well, then there's much better options.
All right, the Relic, which I don't know why I'm so excited for the Vomitrix.
Yeah, so
it sounds like a really sweet, bad metal band.
Vomitrix, yeah. So it's a Plague Spear upgrade. Freyr.
You're just moving right on. You don't even want to laugh with me. It's sad. So Vomitrix.
I was trying to
range 9.
It's got
assault 7.
It's got a mind of its own.
Maybe it plays metal, has really bad death metal as it shoots. So, anyways, assault 7, strength 7, AP -3, 2 damage. It's a plague weapon. When resolving an attack made with this weapon, do not make a hit roll. It's auto hit.
Right. So this is it's like a weird alchemical kind of company because they want to play with the surgeons and they want to play with the sprayers. I don't really know much more about it than that. I didn't immediately fall in love with it, but this is the one I was talking about when discussing the stratagem that increased the range of plague weapons. So technically that would increase the range of Vomitrix as well. if you really wanted it to.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 stratagems. First one, Plague Brewers. These guys sound awesome. I like them.
Yeah,
they sound super chill.
They're kind of cool.
Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. When a Mortarion's Chosen Sons unit from your army is chosen to shoot with, till the end of the phase, Plague Belchers.
They probably like their local
Plague Spurt
IPAs.
Gauntlets. They would. And Plague Spewers. That's what they're shooting is their IPAs at you.
They're
So anyways, any of those weapons that models in the unit are equipped with, they're damage 2.
Yeah. So increases the damage 1 to 2 instead, and you can increase the range. So that works well with increasing the range of them as well. Not bad. Not bad at all. And then these guys also try and make their Plague Surgeons better as well with the other stratagem.
And this is the
Alembical Narcissium.
Yeah. Okay.
He's got a real fancy Narcissium.
So before the battle, Plague Surgeon. Mm-hmm. And they replaced the Tainted Narcissium ability with the following. Alembical Narcissium. Yeah, no, not going to happen. When making a disgustingly resilient roll for a friendly Chosen Sons infantry model, whilst its unit is within 3 of this model, you can re-roll a roll of 1 or 2.
Right. So that could, now when you consider this with the one stratagem that makes it so your disgusting resilient rolls they work on 4+, you can reroll 1s and 2s. And so you ignore damage on a 4+ rerolling 1s and 2s. That is a very, very durable unit. But you have to be the Chosen Sons to be able to pull that off. But it's all about that kind of stuff. And yes, that is a good combination. And that only works on 1. Can you only do this one? It's only select. Can you do this?
No, it's before the battle.
All you do is, say you had 3 of them. I guess they could all have this alembical Narcissium. It's okay. So their normal rule with the other Narcissium, Tainted Narcissium, is you reroll rolls of 1. Now rolling 1s and 2s and succeeding on 4+, that's not so bad. But you got to remember, the range of that is only 3, so you have to stay dangerous. It's not like one guy could affect 2 units very easily. He could, obviously, if you set it up that way. But then you're committing 2 units nearby him. But that's not bad. You say you have a 20-man squad of close combat Plague Marines. You don't want them getting shot at, so you make it so they have a 4 of disgusting resilience, and all of a sudden they reroll 1s and 2s. That's not bad. And then you can put flamers in those close combat units as well as they march up the field.
Yeah,
not a bad.
I like these guys.
I not bad at all. There's lots of things to consider with all of these companies, and these are the 7 companies from the Horus Heresy, right? They kept their 7 great companies, not great companies, but they had their 7 companies. I'm trying to remember the captain of the second company. It was
Grolgor?
I was gonna say it was like Gara Grolgor or something like that. It's Grolgor. That's always how the narrator pronounced it, and he sounded like he's been smoking for the last 250 years of his life.
Like when they do the voice of the character?
Yeah, when the guy voiced the character, Grolgor, who was the captain of the second company, he already sounded like he was infected with like Nurgle's gift or something. Like it was so weird. He was just a jerk. He was just a real jerk the entire book, and the things that happened to him, he deserved.
So yeah, second best character in the Heresy for you then?
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah, okay.
I actually really liked him. I always got super pumped when he was on scene. Let's just say he was killed. No spoilers. No spoilers. No spoilers.
No spoilers. He was killed.
No, there's way more to it than that. There's more to it. I'm awful. I apologize. Let's just say that he's got a lot going on in the Heresy. He makes an appearance every now and then. And that's it for the Death Guard. That is it. I think I want to do another spoiler. No. I want to do another spoiler. Crap. What was the planet? It was Moloch. He makes a showing at Moloch. Yeah. He was there at Moloch. Yeah. Grolgor. Anyways, that is it for the Death Guard. Hopefully you got some insight. All around positive. Love the changes from War of the Spider. I think they're very helpful, and you can play the Death Guard in so many different ways than the ways I've been saying you should play them. In like a casual way, not a competitive way. I don't know how to play them competitively. I just sometimes win with them.
I like the way you put that. That's
definitely one of my favorite armies to play in 8th edition. And I know I'm going to be sticking with them in 9th edition too because of all these new changes. And they are I think they're just really well written. All the rules are really fun. And I have 0 gripes with the Death Guard. Whereas it's not true for the Necrons. We're going to see how that comes with the Necrons in the future. And maybe I'll be playing a lot more Necrons in 9th. Anyways, folks, hopefully this is helpful. Make sure to check out the battle report between Josh and myself where we play Custodians. I play Death Guard using the Mongers, which is one of the great companies, especially if you like Demon Engines. Then you can check that out by clicking the link down below and you get yourself that 7-day free trial. Again, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time, and happy wargaming.
Happy wargaming.